Hello, and welcome back to Lead is to Learn, a podcast where we explore the dynamic world of leadership together. Whether you're a returning listener or joining us for the first time, I'm truly grateful you've chosen us as your companion upon your leadership development journey. Our mission here is simple: to empower you with the knowledge, skills, and insights needed to excel in leadership. But before we dive into today's episode, I want to express my sincere thanks to each one of you. Your trust in us means the world, and it's an honour to be part of your growth. Now, speaking of growth, did you know that To Lead is to Learn is brought to you by Lambda Solutions? At Lambda, we specialise in leadership development and coaching, and we're passionate about helping individuals like you become the best leaders you can be. If you're looking to take your leadership skills to the next level, or if your organisation is seeking guidance to achieve its leadership goals, I invite you to explore what we have to offer. Simply visit our website at www.thelambda.co.uk to discover more about how we can assist you directly. Thank you for being part of our community. Now, let's dive into today's episode and continue learning and growing together. Hello, I'm your host, Chris Waters, and today we're going to be talking about an increasingly familiar topic in the corporate landscape: addiction in leadership. More specifically, the addiction to work and workaholism. This leads to the phenomenon of workaholic leadership. How often have you heard someone describe a leader as a workaholic, tirelessly devoting themselves to their job at the expense of personal time and family responsibilities, sending emails late in the evening and at night, early morning reminders or messages about work, staying up late or waking up early just to complete something? The corporate world we live in often reveres hard work, and therefore blurring the line between dedication to the cause and addiction. This workaholism, found in leaders, can result in a wider impact, a culture shift, because of the ripple effect they have on their teams, influencing not just productivity, but also the mental and emotional well-being of their employees. So what exactly is workaholic leadership? Is it simply an inner drive to work excessively, surpassing the expectations of the organisation, putting in long hours and going above and beyond the requirements which are laid out by their job role? Is it an obsession with working, causing thoughts of work outside of office hours? Is it whispers in the corridor of how long someone spent at work or how early or late they sent an email? Is it the passive-aggressive working hours which sets a tone and an unwritten rule of how to be successful here? What is the problem with individuals wanting to work these long hours? What is wrong with going above and beyond? Surely this is just a level of discretionary effort, a choice to do more in the hope of getting more. Maybe it is just an element of pride? Well, no. There is a problem here. That is the responsibility which comes with leadership. Everything a leader says and does is seen and heard. It lays a marker, it sets a tone, and it provides an example to others. What we as leaders do becomes a prevailing atmosphere within the organisation. It can promote a sense that the entire organisation approves and promotes a workaholic culture. What impact does this then have on the employees, and more importantly, how does it influence their behaviour and psychology? Imagine a scenario where your whole team is encouraged to work long hours with high intensity, purely by your actions of doing so, your example, and therefore the expectations which you have set. This means the conversation of resources comes into play. The members of your team face a resource depletion themselves. Their energy and motivation dwindles. Their time is stretched, and as a result, they may turn to self-preservation mode. This can lead to them pretending to work hard in order to pass under the radar. As a self-protection mechanism, they separate themselves from the work, becoming emotionally detached from it and caring less. This is all to mitigate the psychological loss caused by workplace anxiety of not being seen to be doing enough or achieving enough. This podcast, however, is not just about understanding the intricacies of workaholic leadership. It's about uncovering the mechanisms that can cause workaholism, mechanisms to deal and help with it, as well as exploring the impact this has on your team. Addiction usually has connotations with psychoactive or psychotherapeutic drugs. Psychoactive drugs being chemical substances that alter conscious awareness through the effect they have on the brain, and psychotherapeutic being substances that impact our mood and behaviour. However, addiction, as defined in a paper by Walters in 1999, as the persistent and repetitious enactment of a behavioural pattern, which includes progression, an increase in severity, preoccupation with the activity, perceived loss of control, and persistence despite the negative long-term consequences. When we consider workaholism, we can see that this comes under several of the descriptions we've just seen. Working long hours is clearly a preoccupation with the activity. It can result from a feeling of losing control, and in some respects, if in your wider lives you do not feel safe and secure, this loss of control or feeling as though you are being controlled can in some ways feel more safe and secure. Individuals who suffer from workaholism often persist with this, despite knowing this can have a negative impact on their wider lives, including their relationships with others, as well as their own health and well-being. Where we saw progression as an increase in severity, this can clearly be seen with individuals who are workaholics, as it gradually tends to increase and take over their lives. Addiction as well has multiple symptoms which, when we consider workaholism, are clearly evident. The first being salience. By this we mean it becomes apparent to others what is starting to happen. The second being mood modification. Within this, what we mean is a change or a shift in the way we normally behave and act. This could be irritability, this could be the observation of added stress, as well as, for those in our wider lives, the obvious absence of that individual, whether they are present or not. The third is tolerance. This appears as an individual becoming less and less tolerant to distractions, whether that's from the others at work or within their personal lives. This can sometimes be seen as individuals missing out on social occasions, or seeing them as being less important than their job or their work. The fourth is experiencing withdrawal symptoms. Now this sometimes isn't apparent unless it is maybe the weekend or if an individual is on a holiday. When someone suffers from workaholism, you might notice that they find it hard to switch off, whether this be in the evenings, at the weekends, or when they're on holidays. They struggle with going for prolonged periods of time without checking their emails. The fifth being conflict. In this case, maybe if someone was to confront that individual about their workaholism, they may get faced with defensive behaviours such as refusing to acknowledge it, considering the other person as blowing something out of proportion, or it could trigger a full-blown argument. The sixth and final one would be a relapse. What this might be is perhaps through a prolonged absence from work, they have been able to pull away from work. However, should they start back, what could happen is they would quickly fall back into their previous behaviour of addiction. Now, according to Svanberg in 2018, we must consider something else here as we explore addiction. This is that addiction is not about how much of a particular behaviour you do, rather it is more about the relationship you have with that behaviour. In this instance, addiction becomes more about the compulsive pursuit of that behaviour, which for us is work, despite the wish to stop or limit this behaviour. In other words, there is a feeling of the mounting negative consequences which may arise as a result of the work you are doing. You feel this looming negative off in the distance, yet you cannot stop or pull away. We can see here that addiction is a process rather than an endpoint. It is not somewhere which an individual suddenly finds themselves in. Addiction can occur at any point to anyone, and it is a habit which has become dysfunctional and is hard to break. It is, however, a process which can become dysfunctional to individuals at different points due to their individual character and the context within which they live. Acknowledging that addiction as a process suggests that it is something which is continual and can therefore be influenced, changed, and in some instances reversed. Addiction is often described as being in a state of dependence. But what is a dependence? A dependence can come in two forms: physiological and psychological. Physiological dependence is linked predominantly with the impact of the withdrawal and the increasing tolerance to the result of that behavior which is leading to the addiction, whereas psychological dependence is linked with the perceived benefits of the rewards of that behavior, and then the onset of anxiety because of not performing the behavior. In other words, a physiological dependence can lead to physical symptoms setting in through withdrawal, such as pain, nausea, sweating, tremors, as well as an increased heart rate, while a psychological dependence can lead to a craving for that behavior and continual thoughts of that behavior. Workaholism can have a detrimental impact on individuals, in particular those within leadership positions. One of the first would be the impact on their relationships. Workaholism can lead individuals to prioritize their public persona, their status as a leader, over their authentic selves, the person who they are outside of work. The role they play within work can start to overtake their authentic selves, leading to an eroding of who they really are. And instead they begin to identify with the person they are at work, rewriting who they are. This can have a detrimental impact on their personal relationships and ultimately risks self-annihilation. This can particularly impact their closest relationships, and in particular their intimate relationships. Intimacy requires good communication and sharing of power within the relationship. However, a leader suffering from workaholism can struggle with their emotional involvement with the relationship, and this can impact on the relationship dynamic, particularly when it comes to their communication, as they struggle to separate the style of communication within work with those at home. One of the largest impacts on their relationships from workaholism is the lack of flexible working hours which they perceive. This can lead to a struggle between work time and their relationships. In particular, the appearance of choosing work over the relationship. In serious cases, this can seem like a checking out of their relationship and leaving their partner in charge of the intimacy of the relationship, which can ultimately lead to the breakdown of the romance and the relationship as a whole. However, there have been some reports that have suggested that intimate relationships may in fact act as a stress buffer for workaholics. A stress buffer is a psychological mechanism which helps to mitigate or alleviate the negative impact of stress on an individual. The intimate relationship in this instance can act as a source of emotional support, providing a platform for emotional expression and understanding. Simply having someone who listens, cares, and empathizes with you outside of the working environment can help to alleviate stress and isolation, which can arise when in a position of leadership, particularly when you are not within a supportive work culture. This support can extend to friends as well as partners, providing a sense of belonging, which again can provide an element of support when you are feeling isolated or going through challenging times within work. During times of change or extreme challenges, this can make you as a leader feel isolated from your team and unsupported from above. The mere presence of a supportive partner can offer a sense of comfort and security. Having them nearby during stressful situations when working from home has been shown to contribute to reducing stress and the feeling of being unsupported. They can also be a collaborative partner when it comes to developing coping strategies, helping you to identify, talk over, and navigate key stressors. Sharing the burden, having a sounding board, or even working through the problem-solving process with your partner can also help you to become more resilient to stress. Developing this effective communication at home can provide both understanding in the relationship, as well as leading to solutions, and a space for both validation and empathy. This can work in two ways, and in essence help you to provide an open and honest space where the work addiction can be worked upon, helping it to become less dysfunctional. In a healthy relationship, partners share the responsibilities and workload of running the home, maintaining a healthy functional relationship and raising a family. Being open and honest through positive and supportive communication, this can help to prevent any undue burdens on one individual, making it easier to manage work-related stress and a sense of understanding about the stresses each are suffering from. In times of increased stress, when this is shared, a partner can help to provide a key support mechanism, and, for someone who suffers from workaholism, they could encourage the engagement in enjoyable and positive activities, serving as a distraction from work-related stress. This spending quality time together can shift the focus away from work and help break any dysfunctional relationship with work. For a workaholic leader who has children, there is an increased risk here. Children often look to their parents as role models for behaviours and examples of how to navigate the world they will grow up into. As a leader in their work life, they provide a model for A, what success looks like, and B, how to be successful. As such, the children may develop a skewed view on what it takes to be successful and what success looks like. As a workaholic, you may well exhibit some of the following traits. You may experience performance-driven perfectionism, where you look to be perfect in the way you perform tasks, and when working with others you expect the same. Or you take over and take control in order to do things your own way. This is in the pursuit of perfectionism, which you feel the need to be in control of. You may well exhibit approval-seeking behaviour, where you look to get the approval of others for your efforts or the results of your efforts. You may feel low or deflated when you don't receive praise or approval from others, especially if it is not in the form in which you recognise. You may well have serious self-critical attitudes, where you punish yourself through negative self-talk upon setbacks or small failures, beating yourself up over decisions which you made which did not turn out favourably. You may also find yourself having difficulty having fun. For example, being able to switch off and enjoy yourself should things with work be hanging over you, playing on your mind, or not going the way you expected it to. Workaholics often fall prey to feelings of frustration and anger, particularly when not at work, as the thoughts of work and feelings of guilt and anxiety around work start to take over. This can lead to feelings of resentment towards yourself or others in your lives which you feel may be getting in the way of working, particularly if your mind is set on work. Anyone or anything which is getting in the way of you pursuing your instinct or thoughts might become a nuisance or barrier to you, all of which can cause you to misplace your triggers of stress and anxiety onto those closest to you rather than the work, believing anything other than the work is the cause of the stress. This is where the fixation on work has gone far beyond a healthy relationship and has definitely become dysfunctional. For children in the home with a workaholic, particularly a workaholic leader, the example being set for them is the need to work long hours, to always prioritize work over the family, and only through a complete dedication to work can they achieve success and promotion. The children of workaholic parents may therefore mimic their work-related behavior, for example, with their schoolwork, leading to the experiencing of high levels of stress themselves, which may then lead to higher levels of depression and anxiety. Both this mimicked behavior and the almost absent relationship they have with their parent or parents can lead to the underdeveloped sense of self, a struggle with intimacy into their adulthood, and have difficulty in forming successful adult relationships, all of which could increase their risk of developing an addictive relationship with work in the pursuit of validation and recognition, leading to an ongoing cycle. Research by Brian Robinson at the University of North Carolina has shown that marriages where one partner is a workaholic see their relationships break down 2 times faster than other marriages, ending in divorce. A Deloitte survey noted that 83% of respondents believe that burnout from work, which can be linked heavily to workaholism, negatively impacts upon personal relationships, including friendships as well as intimate relationships. Research has shown that 6 out of 10 couples struggle to balance work and family commitments. A USA Today poll revealed the sacrifices people make to stay on top of work. The top 4 were recreational activities at 52%, hobbies at 51%, time with friends at 44%, and family time at 30%. Family dynamics is also being impacted, with families eating together less. This has seen a shocking decline from 50% of families in 1987 down to 20% in 2008. These results are from 15 years ago. However, at the rate of decline seen, this number may well be closer to 10% now. Research by Andreasen and others in 2016 indicated that workaholics are 2 to 3 times more prone to mental health issues, in particular depression and anxiety. The prevalent culture within many organisations often places a high value on long hours and dedicated hard work, creating an environment where employees are incentivized to invest a significant amount of time and effort into their professional roles. This culture is fed by a recognition system that acknowledges and reinforces the commitment of individuals who go above and beyond the standard working hours. High-performing and hard-working employees often find themselves in a system that not only recognizes their dedication, but also offers positive affirmations in the form of praise and recognition from superiors, colleagues, and the organization as a whole for this. This recognition, whether through public acknowledgement or private commendation, becomes a powerful external motivator, reinforcing the belief that relentless effort and long hours are integral to success within the organizational framework. Additionally, the culture of rewarding hard work extends beyond verbal affirmations to tangible benefits such as promotions and bonuses. Employees who consistently demonstrate exceptional commitment and productivity are often earmarked for career advancement. Promotions serve as a visible testament to an individual's dedication and contribution, providing a clear pathway for career progression. The danger with this practice is clear. Although these forms of reward become an incentive for employees to exert the extra effort and achieve outstanding results, they also reward and feed unhealthy cultures of a work-life imbalance. Although time spent and productivity are easily measured, and therefore a metric often used, they are also lazy metrics and do not reward the true skill set required of leaders. Thus, you end up with leaders who expect a similar level of commitment to work, and it becomes what we expect, and that's how we do it around here. This dual reinforcement system of combining positive affirmations with tangible rewards shapes a work environment and culture where long hours and hard work are not only recognized, but actively promoted as key elements of success and professional growth within the organization. However, the impact of this culture on those individuals who ascend into leadership roles is multifaceted. While the recognition and rewards for hard work can instill a sense of accomplishment and motivation, the transition to a leadership position often entails a set of challenges. Leaders, having been conditioned in an environment that praises relentless dedication, can often carry this ethos into their leadership roles. The expectation to maintain the same level of intense commitment can lead to workaholic tendencies, as these individuals may continue to prioritize long hours and unwavering dedication to meet the demands of their elevated roles. This perpetual cycle, fueled by a culture that initially rewarded hard work, can potentially contribute to burnout, strained work-life balance, and diminished well-being for leaders. Additionally, the organisational emphasis on visible outputs and continuous hard work may overshadow the importance of effective leadership qualities, potentially affecting the leader's ability to foster a healthy and sustainable work environment for those below them. Therefore, while the rewards for dedication are clear, the long-term implications on the well-being and leadership approach of those ascending the organisational ladder warrant some careful consideration for organisations moving forwards. Now let's consider the fine line between a strong work ethic and the often misunderstood concept of workaholism. A strong work ethic is the cornerstone of productivity, driving individuals to invest time and effort into their professional pursuits. However, the shift from a commendable work ethic to workaholism involves crossing into that sort of treacherous territory. But what are the nuances that differentiate the two, and what is the impact this can have on individuals, teams, and organisational culture, especially when it comes to leadership? At first glance, a strong work ethic and workaholism might seem interchangeable, but the distinction lies in the mindset and outcomes, as we saw earlier. A strong work ethic embodies dedication, reliability, and a commitment to producing quality work. It fosters effectiveness and productivity by encouraging a balanced approach to professional responsibilities. On the other hand, workaholism is characterized by an obsessive and unrelenting focus on work, often at the expense of personal well-being and relationships. It's crucial for leaders to recognize that while a strong work ethic fuels productivity, workaholism can lead to burnout, diminishing both individual and team effectiveness. Leaders play a pivotal role in shaping the work culture. Expectations set by leaders influence not only their teams but also themselves. Encouraging a strong work ethic involves promoting dedication and diligence without fostering a culture of overwork. Leaders should be mindful of signs indicating workaholism, such as a perpetual focus on quantity over quality, neglecting personal well-being, and persistent stress. By recognizing these signs, leaders can intervene to ensure a healthy balance, fostering an environment that values both productivity and the well-being of the team. The consequences of workaholism can permeate every layer of an organization. For leaders, it may lead to burnout, compromised decision-making, and strained relationships with their teams. But at the team level, workaholism can result in decreased morale, higher turnover, and a culture of fear and exhaustion. Organizational culture, once vibrant and innovative, can quickly erode into one driven by sheer hours spent at the desk rather than creative problem solving. Striking the right balance where a strong work ethic is encouraged without crossing into workaholism is essential for fostering a sustainable, productive, and healthy work environment. We have looked at the psychological mechanisms that contribute to workaholism, where it shares commonalities with addiction, driven by a complex interplay of psychological factors. Societal and organisational expectations weave into this narrative, creating a potent mix that can be particularly pronounced in the context of leadership. Societal expectations often glorifies the always-on mentality, applauding those who tirelessly climb the career ladder. This societal narrative, coupled with organisational expectations, forms a powerful backdrop. In the corporate landscape, success is frequently synonymous with long hours and unwavering commitment, as we have seen. For leaders, this expectation can become a relentless force, urging them to demonstrate not just competence, but a superhuman capability for work. The pressure to meet these societal and organisational expectations can be a driving force behind workaholic tendencies, as individuals strive to live up to perceived ideals of success. When it comes to leadership, the expectations can be particularly intense. The traditional view often emphasizes a leader's role as a doer rather than a relationship builder. There's a societal inclination to equate leadership with a high level of tangible output. However, the essence of effective leadership lies in the ability to build and maintain strong relationships, especially with one's team. The societal expectations placed on leaders and their responsibilities, as well as the reality of fostering these relationships, can inadvertently fuel workaholism. The leader, striving to meet the external expectations as well as the internal expectations, may find themselves on a relentless pursuit, losing sight of the essential human connections that actually underpin effective leadership itself. Navigating this thin line between societal expectations and the organisational demands, as well as the true essence of leadership, is a very challenging task. Recognising that leadership is not just about meeting quantitative goals, that's more management, but instead fostering meaningful connections is a crucial step. Organisations that prioritise a balanced approach, valuing both productivity and well-being, can break this cycle, which is actually emphasising and increasing cases of workaholism. It's a shift towards a leadership model that understands the importance of building strong relationships as the cornerstone for sustainable success. For leaders that are actually caught in the suffocating grip of workaholism, breaking free from this cycle requires intentional steps towards balance and well-being. First and foremost, intentional effort into cultivating self-awareness is key. This can be hard, however, within a culture where time is allocated within the working day to reflection, this can actually help leaders to break away from workaholism, as this is where leaders can reflect upon their working habits, identify signs of overwork, and acknowledge the impact on themselves and their teams and their own personal lives. It's not about doing less, but rather doing what they're doing already, but in a better way. Self-awareness is a vital tool in all leaders' toolkits. It is what can guide a leader towards a healthier work-life balance. Only with deep self-reflection can we recognise our personal limits and set clear boundaries for ourselves and let others know. We need to acknowledge that the act of setting boundaries is one of strength and not weakness. We should make sure we prioritise self-care, acknowledging that sustained high performance actually requires periods of rest and rejuvenation. Being physically and mentally fit, healthy and well rested is the foundation upon which peak performance can be found. Balancing the scales between our work and our personal lives not only fosters individual well-being, but also sets a positive example for the entire team and our families at home. Leaders don't have to navigate this journey alone. Seeking support, whether through mentors, coaches, or colleagues, can provide valuable perspectives and insights. Furthermore, the organisations which we work for, and for some of us run, they also play a pivotal role in shaping the work culture, encouraging open conversations about work habits, mental health, and the importance of a balanced lifestyle fosters a culture where well-being is actually prioritised. Organisations should actively promote policies that support work-life balance and discourage a culture of overwork. As always, with our content podcasts, I want to leave you with 3 key questions around what we have explored. 1. How can you, as a leader, redefine success in your leadership role to include not just output, but also the quality of your relationships and your well-being? 2. What boundaries can you as a leader set to maintain a healthier work-life balance, and how can you communicate these boundaries effectively with your team? And finally, 3. In what ways can your organisation cultivate a work culture that values both productivity and the well-being of your employees? And what role can you play in bringing this about?
And until next time, remember, to lead requires us to continuously